You are listening to the Cigar Noise Boys. Want to see me do it big? I can show you how it goes. Take you from an amateur to being professional. I can have you swag surfing.
Like that newer hip hop stuff. Like I'm just clueless with that stuff. Like,
I mean, do you think I listen to newer hip hop?
anytime we do like the classic rock and stuff, like I always.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not really.
I don't know what Dom listens to. Greta Van Fleet and fucking Riff Raff. That's about it.
I don't really listen.
I
to
have
Riff
no
Raff
idea,
anymore.
Dom.
Let me find another part of the song because that was kind of rough.
Yeah.
I can turn you from a human to a Carter.
If you do something that's classic rock,
You'd get it if it was classic rock?
oh, I
What are
always
you
guess
saying?
it right. Like,
Oh
anytime
shit.
I'm listening to the podcast.
Well, see, Tyler doesn't. I try to
Oh,
get the
geez.
songs that
You picked the
Tyler.
wrong genre.
Hold on, there's a reason. I can turn you from a human to a Carter, take you off the bench to turn you to a starter. Then I take you home and put you on a charger. Then my car transforms to a charter.
That's Lil Wayne. I don't
That
know what
is Lil
song,
Wayne.
though. Lil Wayne, but I don't know what's fuck.
I can transform you, Chris Brown.
What song is it?
I can
See, I don't
transform
know
you,
either.
Chris Brown.
I Can Transform You?
Yeah.
That
Oh, you
doesn't
gotta listen
sound
to it.
familiar at all. Yeah, that doesn't sound fucking
Well,
familiar
hey.
at all.
Listeners, if you want to listen to it, we have a Spotify playlist with all of our intro songs. That's the plug. What's up, everybody? CigarNoise Boys here. This week with Chris Brown, not the one from the song.
I get it now.
That was, dude, I try to make a theme for these. It should be a giveaway.
Oh fuck.
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
How are you guys? I'm flattered that you invited me onto the podcast.
Yeah, well,
Hey.
Tyler told me who was going to be on. I said, "Oh, Chris Brown. He's the guy who got us in touch with Smokini."
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
That was a year ago at Lazona Palooza.
That's why I thought of it. I'm like, they're doing the Lazona Palooza virtual event, and then I remembered that last year, Chris was down there and ran into Kim and warned her about Dom, and then she got the restraining order.
Well, I asked her. I said, do you listen to any of the cigar podcasts? And I think she named a couple of them, but she didn't know yours. And I mentioned it. I said, oh, you got to.
No one
check it out.
does.
These guys mention you every time, and Tyler's like, not me. It's Dom. It's Dom. But she was flattered, and she said, oh, I'll have to check it out. Once I gave her some background. But
nice.
I didn't say anything back.
Kim, we know you're listening right now. We'll get you on again, definitely.
Yeah, she's listening right now. What's everybody smoking?
I'm doing the new Viaje Edición Limitada, the double Robusto Maduro that just came out like a week ago. So I've smoked the other three sizes. This is the last one.
I'm smoking the TAA Tatuaje 2020.
And I'm smoking the it came out exactly 1 year ago, the Surrogate AKC.
Nice.
Yeah, San Andreas. Chris, I smoked those Viajes, and so that was like the last cigar I smoked before I lost my taste buds, and then I had two of them in the last couple days. I have a feeling I feel like they need a few months. I don't know if that's been so that cigar it's the there's like a million different unleaded, leaded, but this one I think's got Medio Tiempo in it, and then he did a wrapper swap to San Andreas, right?
Right. The leaded has the Medio Tiempo, or at least some sort of a Corona priming,
Yeah.
But what I find with all four of these have had all four have been very different as far as the body of the smoke. And I'm one of those like people that really tries to adhere to using body not to describe like the strength or intensity of flavor or anything. Like, to me, body is all about mouthfeel. So I've noticed that just the density, you know, of the bunch in the cigar, like the Corona Gorda size that I smoked had a very loose draw, and it was just a palate scorcher. Like, it was, you know, I couldn't taste the next two cigars I smoked later that night after smoking.
Yes, I had one yesterday, and I couldn't smoke everything else I smoked that day. I smoked the new La Atelier, and I couldn't taste anything on it. So yeah, that thing was it was the Corona Gorda I had.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed. Like, it's not just the blend of tobacco; it's the specific construction. Sometimes dependent on the vitola, like whether it, you know, how it affects your palate and just the overall body of it. But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I find myself so. A good friend of mine, Alex, he works at Lake Country with me, and we're always fighting over Lanceros, kind of like Coop and Bear, where he loves Lanceros, and I don't. They're just, to me, it's too much work to smoke. I would rather smoke a 6x60 than a Lancero.
Did you get one of those Cookie Monsters?
No, I didn't grab one, dude. We had 100 of them, and they went pretty quick. I think we had one left yesterday.
Why did those sell out so quickly? Like, it's lost and found, right?
Yeah, I had no idea why. I was not expecting. Like, there was people. Like, I feel like I got a pretty good pulse on like cigars. And I did not see that one being so fucking popular.
No, I mean, none of the lost and found stuff has sold out real quick in the last like 2 years. But that thing just flew. Like, it's gone.
Yeah, I still have the no free lunch at the shop, a whole bundle of them.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but most lost and founds don't have a band, correct? It's just the packaging.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking that could have had something to do with it, because if people are just throwing these in their humidor and they don't have a cooler or anything, they probably want it labeled somehow.
Yeah, and I think.
And the band just contributes to overall appeal. You know what I mean? Some people just get annoyed at, you know, bandless cigars just in general. I've heard that from many people.
Yeah, I think you should. I mean, that's the thing. Like when they were coming out with like the popsicles and there was 3 cigars in there. Like, I'll buy without sight unseen, I'll buy a 3-pack. You know, if all the packaging's together, but to buy just a whole bundle of 10 without even trying it, that's a hard sale, I think. Yeah. But I guess where I was going before, Dom, was with the sizes and that new Viaje, like they have like a short, fatter one that I like that size. I think it's like a 5x54 or something.
I think that's what I'm smoking, a 5.5x54 double Robusto. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that size, and it's like this Surrogate. I think is a 54.
Yeah, it's the Sun Crusher, right?
Yeah.
5 1/8 by 55 or 5 1/4 by 55.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of 55 ring gauges.
No.
Usually it's like an even number.
No. It's funny you mentioned 55. Like, Half Wheel today just had the article that AJ Fernandez, that was the TAA last year, the Redondo, is going full production now, and it was like it got obliterated like in every review, I think. A year ago, yeah. But for some reason they're like, oh, let's go full production with this thing, full steam ahead.
And then I busted open on deck. I got I have a box of each of these, the Viaje Skull and Bones Daisy Cutter, and then the Skull and Bones WMD.
Yeah, what'd you think of those?
I thought the Daisy Cutter was phenomenal. In the WMD,
I only smoked one of them, and I heard some people saying they had burn issues, but that's you know, when you smoke a cigar that's 3 months old or whatever, like any new cigar can have burn issues. Like, let them, most people age a lot of Viaje stuff. Like, let's come back to it in a year.
Yeah, so these I just checked with Half Wheel when they came, because now I'm going to start dating my boxes, and it came out in June. But so I mean, that's 5 months. I just hate breaking open boxes. That's why I think I bought a 5 of these, and then when I was in Austin, I bought a couple more of these, the WMD. But I just hate cracking open boxes, so I pulled one out, and then
you gotta do it, man. Get over the fear.
I don't like that they come in a sealed bundle. like, and then like a cello, the whole bundle is celloed, and then each cigar is celloed.
Yeah.
And I don't like that extra cello on there.
There's no reason for it.
No, but so we were talking about this before the show started. So last podcast, well, first of all, I burnt my lip eating dinner, so that's my first health problem right now. Is I got a burn on my roof of my mouth. Secondly, it did turn out I had COVID. So
when a podcast almost threw up on the podcast.
Yep, that was like, I got tested like a week later after that. Like, I was talking to my boss at work, and I'm like, dude, my taste, like, bro, you have to go get tested. I'm like, what? He's like, you signed something that, like, electronically, that if you have any symptoms, you have to get tested right away. So it was a hassle to find testing, and then I had to wait 2 days. I had to wait 2 days to get the test, and then I had to wait two more days to get the results, and it came back positive. So then, like, yep, well, you can't come back to work for, it was like 10 days or something. So I finally got my taste buds back. I would say Sunday, I would say about 80%, and today I'm at like 90%. But then yesterday I had that Viaje, and that just wrecked my palate. So I was kind of getting worried. I'm like, why am I regressing? I should be getting better. But so I think I'm back to 100 now.
Few questions. First of all, what cigar did you smoke to determine whether your taste was back or not? Do you have a tried and true one that you...
No, that's a good question. No, I just so a while ago we had these Padron 7000 Maduros that came in, but they're a big ring gauge, but the box is all damaged. So like 3 of them were like beat to shit. So I just cut like the broke part off and just threw in my humidor. I'm like, if I'm doing something around the house, or I'll smoke them, which is weird. Like, I'll have these cigars that I plan on smoking when I'm not like thinking about the cigar, and I never get to them. So I smoked that on the podcast last week or 2 weeks ago. And then I smoked another one, because I'm like, they're damaged, but those were the cigars that kind of tested my palate were those damaged Padrones, which is kind of funny.
Also, you pretty much live at either of your 2 jobs. So what did you do this week? Did you pick up a new hobby or something? Paint any pictures?
I listened to, thankfully there's a shitload of podcasts going on. So I listened to those. I was talking to Chris, and I ended up finishing Utopia. I watched The Queen's Gambit.
How did that?
It was all right. The chick's hot, so that's all.
Yeah, yeah.
It was enjoyable. I bought a bunch of books, but I didn't read any of them. You always plan on doing shit, because I felt fine. I just couldn't taste anything. Like, I was tired, but I figured I was tired because I was just laying around the house. Like, I'd stay up super late, and I'd stay up super late, and then I'd sleep in super late. So, and I was doing the fasting thing, so it's like, I don't want to get up if I can't even eat or any, it's like, I'll go back to bed. I can't eat anyways. Like, that's, but
laying there pitying yourself.
I know. Well, and then it's like, I was trying to figure out where I got COVID from. And I guess like one of the coaches at my gym had it. So I'm guessing I got it from kickboxing or some shit. So I haven't been there in obviously like 2 weeks. So yeah, it was boring, man. I didn't do shit. I literally like did no projects. It's not like I almost thought about painting my bedroom, but I didn't do anything. Nothing.
That's home ownership.
Yeah. And then I couldn't even smoke. So it's like I was watching a podcast last night, and I was watching on my phone, and I was on my laptop, and then like I DM'd Nate on Instagram. He's like, "Why the fuck are you DMing me on here? Why aren't you texting me?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm watching this," but he thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, it fucking sucked. It sucked.
I've heard some people say it's like, like obviously there's cases where people don't even know they have it, like they have very few symptoms or mild symptoms, but I've heard some people say it's like the word, like, if you ever had the flu, and like, yeah, it was horrible, and they're like, it's 10 times as bad. So, I guess it runs the whole spectrum of possibilities.
You have a high school buddy who went to West Point, and for him, it was really rough. And he's in like peak physical condition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that so I'm like 5 pounds away from being down 150 pounds. So I'm glad I wasn't 150 pounds heavier when who knows what would have happened. But like I said, like just a little bit of a runny nose, a little bit tired, and then just it smelled like burnt. Everything tasted burnt and smelled burnt. It was fucking bizarre. I don't know.
I've lost my sense of smell and taste, like when I was sick before, like in years past, like before COVID. But it was only ever like 24 hours, where things were just,
Well, and then you Google it, and then it's like, person had COVID 6 months ago, still hasn't regained taste or smell. I'm like, oh fuck. So then I was just like working myself up too. I'm like, what if I can never smoke again? I'm like, what am I gonna do with all these fucking cigars? And it's like, it's just weird the way because I've lost my sense of smell quite a bit. Like when I had the nose surgery,
right.
I didn't smoke for about 2 months. And then when I had my stomach surgery, I didn't smoke for like 3 weeks because my palate completely changed after that. So I had gone through that, but every time I worry, because like with that one that went up my nose, that was a good possibility that you could lose your smell forever. Like, so I was worried about that one, but I wonder if it did if my taste and everything changed a little bit. I mean, I never had like the best palate where I could pick out like blueberries or some shit or Euro meat. I never had that kind of palate. Like Dom.
Or like beyond
amateur,
like what farm it came from.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be dope.
Did you guys ever hear Eric Espinosa's story about Dion Giolito?
No,
I don't think so.
Oh my god, I'm not going to do it justice. I'm not a good orator, but he tells the story from the IPCPR trade show a few years ago where I think it was the year they came out with the Laranja, and Dion comes up and says, somehow they were talking, and Eric gives him one to smoke, and he goes through and he says, does this have this, and he starts rattling off all the different component tobaccos that he thinks are in the cigar basically, and Eric's like, yeah, that's in there, and then he got down to the last one, and Dion says, is it whatever from whatever crop or whatever, and Eric's like, no, and then later, either later that day or then the following day at the show, he sees him, he goes, I gotta apologize, he said, your guess was right, like he guessed the blend of Laranja exactly.
Oh my god.
Per component, like that's how well he knows that tobacco. But and side note, like I believe Espinosa buys a lot of Aganorsa leaf for their cigars, or they did at the time.
Yeah, I did. I was watching a video that they have on their website, and then Eric brought up that he buys tobacco from Oliva, so my buddy Gus, and then Aganorsa. I wish I had that kind of palate. Like Skip's got a palate like that too, where he can taste, which growing region, and I feel like, and I talked about this with Terrence. I feel like I can taste jalapa, it's like I have so metallic, bro.
Metallic.
But yeah.
To me, I always get like tea, like green tea or black tea. Like that's one of the flavors that I associate with it.
Well, then it's like, yeah, it's also like depending on where the fucking jalapa. There's so many different variables. I mean, this is fucking nuts how cigars are. So Dom, I know you have some topics, whatever, but I got a topic for Chris actually, because I know you haven't had any of these. I just made up a list of a few Tatuaje cigars, and I'm just gonna rattle them off, and I want to know if you've smoked them before.
Okay.
The T110.
Yes.
How was that?
I don't even remember. It was so long ago.
The Musubi.
No,
You haven't had that
that's
one?
no, that's one of my white whales.
The whore.
Uh, I yes, I have not smoked one since they were new, and but at the time I wasn't buying a lot of that, like the single store stuff. I wasn't quite as nerdy into it as I am now when that came out.
I have one
Yep.
that somebody gifted me. I haven't had yet. Drinking age.
Drinking age, yes, and I have my last one has just been sitting in the humidor for years, just waiting for some special occasion or something.
Pork chop and pork tenderloin.
Yes, I've smoked bunches of those.
Which one do you like better?
I'm a pork tenderloin guy, for sure.
I've had two of those. Those come banded, right? And then the pork chops don't come banded.
No, the pork chop has the Tatuai and then the Reserva band on it. PTs have no band on it.
Oh, okay. Did you try the cheesesteak one?
Mm-hmm.
That's a broadleaf one, right? That came out the year before the.
Right.
Yeah,
the first year of what is it called? The
Meat Locker, or what do they call it? They were gonna do a Meat Locker, but they never did that, did they?
No. What's that series called? Oh,
Potluck.
Right. The first year was the government cheese steak, which is different from the government cheese. They're both the same vitola, but government cheese was dark Sumatra and the government cheese steak was broadleaf. But then later that summer they did the fake meat, which is basically just the 8-baller, but in a round format instead of box press.
What about the they did the one it had that same kind of packaging. It was Cuban or something, Cuban sandwich. Is that something, or no, or am I thinking of the cheesesteak? I thought it was like, oh, you said fake meat, right? I forgot. Have you had the Hassel, like the full size Hassel?
No, I wasn't in SNS back then.
That was an SNS cigar.
I don't even know what that is. Hassel?
I had the little Hassel, but he came out with like a full size one that just says Hassel on it.
Yeah, that was there's been a few. There's like, I want to say there's been like, probably like 6 or 8 different cigars that are Hassel, something Hassel, like PJ 40th and all that stuff. Like, those were all SNS releases, as far as I know, unless he sent like some bundles to some stores at some point or something. But
yeah, this is only my second year in the St. Centers. And then the M80.
Yes, I never got boxes of those, but I got them just through trades and stuff over the years. But not many of them. Like just like the whore in the drinking age. Like I only ever got a handful of those. But.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite like core line Tatuaje, and then your favorite LE tat? And then you two, Dom, and then I'll answer after you guys.
I really like the pork tenderloin as far as an LE goes. I have, I'm every time it's Tuesday or Saturday, I think about cracking open my last bundle, but I haven't smoked one in probably a year now. But that one's amazing. I really like really just any of the TAAs, like any of the broadleaf TAAs were awesome. I like all the TAAs, to be honest, but I still have a box and a half of the TAA 2015s. The 16s are smoking awesome right now. But then as far as regular production, man, I really, the La Mission du Atelier, the San Andres wrap one. I know it's a Atelier, but it's, for a regular production, man, you just can't. That short Robusto, the 1959, and then I really like one of the sizes they just discontinued, the 1955. It's like a Lonsdale. If you like San Andres, that thing is awesome. So I know you're not a Lancero guy, but it's a Lonsdale. So give it a chance.
Yeah, I'll have to slow down and smoke. Dom, what about you?
Yeah, I was gonna say between the pork chop and the pork tenderloin. A few years back, I would say that the pork chop was better, but the ones I got recently, I wasn't as big on. So I'm not sure if something changed or if it was my palate that just changed. What's the original size for the just a black label? Is it Corona Gorda?
Yeah, with the silver and black band.
Yeah, the different band. That one's yeah, it's a good two for me. I haven't had the black crack in a while. Those were nice when they came out because I was still commuting. Yeah, the TAs that I've tried, I wasn't a big fan of the 50 Firth. I love the
51?
band on that. Yeah, I love the band, but I think
I love that promo video he did.
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's like do 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 do, and then it would cut, and it would show like a different. It was the production on there was pretty awesome.
What about you, Tyler?
Oh yeah. For me, I really like. And these aren't that old. These are actually from like 2 years ago. Part of the potluck is the tender chop and then the bone marrow.
Oh yeah,
So,
super limited though.
yeah, I think I might have a bundle of each. The bone marrow it's so fucking weird because it's the bone crusher in gut or whatever, and then with a Ecuadorian Connecticut.
If I can slide in, The Bride. I'm a big fan of The Bride.
Yeah.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, that one really just surprised me, and I thought it was head and shoulders above the rest. The Monster series for me.
The I've always been fascinated by the lower primings of broadleaf. Like when you think of Connecticut broadleaf Maduro, it's usually like, you know, oily, pitch black, you know, like when you think of the TAAs when they're fresh, like, but the Bride is that like, you know, I don't know what number priming it is, if it's like 4 or 5, like somewhere in there, but you know, I think they've done a few. I think there's a few others like the La Dueña, My Father La Dueña. I think that's the same thing. It's a broadleaf, but it's a lower priming. I'm curious what else there are, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, like usually, like when you hear broadleaf, you like automatically think Maduro. Same with like San Andreas, you automatically like think Maduro. But there's some lighter offerings out there, like the Christoph Pissed Off is a natural San Andreas. And then I think Pete said that the Bride was it the Bride or the Michael was the most misunderstood monster? Did you hear him say that? I might have been the Bride.
I don't know.
Or one of his many interviews. He's been all over the place.
Yeah, geez, everyone has been in the last 6 months.
But and then my favorite regular production is the J21 Reserva.
Yeah.
I once smoked 3 of those back to back, and then I had a heartburn, but I like that one a lot.
What did you guys think of the broadleaf versions from the broadleaf collection a couple years ago of all the regular stuff? You know,
I
love the J21, the original J21 Reserva, but the broadleaf.
Was there a secondary band for those?
Yeah, well, it says Reserva broadleaf instead of just Reserva on the secondary band. But the you know, I still like the J21 better than the broadleaf version. But I think the broadleaf J21 was the best out of the entire broadleaf collection. So some SNS hate from that.
What's the regular? So the regular J21, is that part of like the brown label then?
Yeah, it's the.
It doesn't have that light like the SW, right? It doesn't have that wrapper on there.
No, it's the Oscuro. So it's the same or similar priming to the like the K222 and the Kohonu 2006, 2009.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's all kind of that. You know,
I don't think I've had a regular J21. I think I've only had the Reservas.
That's what I'm saying. The Reserva is the regular one, but then there's the Reserva broadleaf. You know, that came out in the master case and then the 10-count boxes.
Oh shit! Maybe I haven't. I thought that was the broadleaf that I was smoking, but it's coming in a 25-count box, so that's not broadleaf then.
No, I don't think. Well, actually, they might have added a 25-count to even the broadleaf one at a later point, like they did with like the Noeas and something else. But
dude,
I'll keep it all straight.
I don't know who's more confusing, Tat or Lugione for me.
Yeah, Tat is. You know, I know Leon's portfolio inside and out, and you know, the man does not make a bad cigar. but it's, you know, it's once you get the original document straight from the other series, like it's, you know, it's not nearly as many as there are tats, like because there's nowhere close to the amount of limited editions and stuff and variations.
Yeah, there's just so much, like just the different count boxes, and then you got Escassos, and then like you got the Grand Escasso, and then you have like the new Escasso is a slightly different color, or you know, than the last batch. It's fucking.
It's I think he said it was a Corojo, whereas the previous one was the Ecuador Habano, just a lighter priming. But this one's Nicaraguan Corojo that the Garcias grow.
Oh, so, which is like on the new Fonseca too, right?
It might be. It might be.
Or is that Criollo? God damn it! Dude, my brain shot. But I want to stick with Tat for a little longer. Well, Tat, no, the whole thing. Dude, I am fucking stoked for 2 projects coming out: the Surrogate Sampler,
yeah,
and the Monster Mash.
Yep. Well, Monster Mash is going to be like what, another year or something, or 8 months or something. But I think the Surrogates one's coming soon. I think.
I hope so. I mean, here's the funny thing: is like you have to really sometimes pay attention, because Dan he's been posting that he's smoking surrogates in different sizes, like with the band and all that. And I never noticed it until he posted the sampler. And then I went back and looked at other pictures, and then he was saying, 5x50. So I'm stoked, because I think the Seven Samurai is a good blend. I don't like that size. I don't like.
Yeah. I thought that was the weakest link.
Yeah, I don't like Figurados, and so I smoked it a couple times, but I'm stoked to try that in a Robusto, and I'm stoked to try the Skull Breaker in a Robusto, and the Crystal in the Satin Glow. I think that sampler, and it's probably gonna be pretty reasonable. The price is not gonna, I'm stoked about that.
One of them is already a size, right? The Animal Cracker there's already a 5x50 Animal Cracker.
Yes, 5x50 Animal Cracker. Yeah, they got 6x60, 5x50, and then the Cracker Crumb is all.
That's why they made the sampler. They were like, we got to move all these 5x50 Animal Crackers that have been sitting around the factory. In case Dan's listening, I'm just kidding, obviously.
Yeah. I should check the box code on that. We have some at the shop. Yeah, and the Crystal Baller I like.
Yeah, I've always liked the second size they made of that 6x46.
Yeah,
that one's, I prefer that to the original.
And the price points on the surrogates it's such a fair price too.
Right.
I think the most expensive is the Seven Samurai, but that's a big ass Figurado for $12. That's not bad. Right. And the 6x60's $10.
Yep.
Dom, have you smoked much of the surrogates?
It's been a while. Satin Glove, I've smoked. Crystal Baller. What did you say? The Samurai, the one that was Figurado?
Yeah, that's the Matt Booth.
I've had one of those, and it was a bit pricier too, wasn't it?
For you, probably $20. For us, $12.
It was a little too much for me.
That's one thing I don't mind about living in the state of Pennsylvania. I know it's super nice weather where you live, Dom, and super shitty weather where you live, Tyler. But
dude, I've got three. I've got 3 layers on right now. It's cold.
Is it?
It's California cold.
Dude, it's I think it was like 75 degrees here yesterday, which is crazy for November for Pittsburgh. But
dang, yeah, it was a high of 61 here today.
Damn.
Wow. Damn.
I think it was like 45 here.
PA, man, no cigar, no tobacco tax in Pennsylvania. It's like awesome.
I was gonna say our tobacco tax is 50-cent cap.
Oh, all right.
So it's not horrible.
Not terrible, no.
Yeah, I think I thought I saw Monster Mash would be coming. It's probably so you have to order at PCA 2021 if that still goes on, I believe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's what he said. That's Pete. Pete's been super behind the, the supporting PCA and like putting 100% effort into that to contribute to all the lawsuits and everything. And kudos to him, because that's for any manufacturer to just like, I don't want to say throw his eggs into one basket, but like he's been a long time supporter of the TAA and everything, and he kind of basically said like, I'm going to shift all that effort, away from these other people, and they can't complain. I mean, he's been a huge supporter of theirs for such a long time.
Well, it's funny that there's shops that barely carry any Tatuaje, and then when the TAA comes out, they're like, let me get 50 boxes of it.
Right.
It's like, well, it's like, how many facings of our stuff do you have? Oh, you don't even carry us? I'm not gonna, whatever. But I'm stoked that because he's been like those releases. Most of the other companies, they're so. I mean, you have, I think Tatuaje is by far the best. Padron and the Opus stuff has been good. But some of the other stuff has been big time misses.
Yeah, especially lately. I mean, I really liked some of the Crown Head stuff from a few years ago. That 2015 Angel's Anvil was awesome. I'm not a huge Dominican smoker. Like there's plenty of people use it, in the blend. Like I know James Brown uses Dominican in quite a few of his blends, but it's just like one single component out of several, so it's not like overwhelming, but it seemed like the stuff where the TAA, like the Crown Head stuff that was higher proportion of Nicaraguan tobacco was the stuff that I liked, the stuff that was like straight Dominican or majority Dominican was the stuff I shied away from a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like the stuff that Ernie or Carrillo blends that has mostly Nicaraguan tobacco is some of his better stuff.
Yeah.
Versus speaking of kind of like Crown Heads, I know Dom really enjoyed the 4 Kicks Kappa Especial. I'm wearing the hat.
I'm actually going to be buying a box of those.
What size?
From a small batch. Is it the Toro?
Yep.
Dude,
Tyler,
I'll sell you a box.
Okay, Tyler, let's go back in time a month. You were going to send me a box of the 5-year El Wente. Very appreciative. But obviously that would have been very expensive to ship because it's so heavy.
Yes.
And if you had shipped it, there's a possibility you could have sent your germs through the planes over to me, close the schools. So it's a good thing that didn't happen. Very good.
All right, you win.
So what are your guys' honest opinion on that El Wente 5-year? Because I've heard, for a cigar that I don't want to say I expect, like Nick's stuff is obviously killer, especially his Thompson stuff. Nothing against the stuff that's made at AJ, that's killer also. But like that's a cigar that I would just, I would take the Vegas odds like 100% that cigar was going to knock it out of the park. And I'm actually, 9 out of 10 people say it's amazing, but I've heard of a couple people say they absolutely hated it. Some guys on another podcast in my next door state here over in Ohio, one of them did not like it. He thought it was pretty terrible.
Whoa. What podcast was that?
I haven't tried it yet, Chris, so I don't know.
It was Hot Ticket.
They didn't like it.
One of them didn't.
Oh, okay.
Corey. Chris did, and then Corey gave him shit for it. But if you listen to Hot Ticket, it all makes sense.
For a while, I thought it was just one guy, and I thought he had just like taken my Instagram thing and did like a double screen and pretend like he was talking to himself or something.
Two brothers. They're in Dayton, Ohio. But
I loved it, man. The El Wente, I fucking loved it. I mean, and I hate that size. But
I hate the fact that you're paying $15, and I know that $5 of that is going to pay for that box. So if Nick ever listens to this, please make that regular production. Even if you have to like dumb down the blend or something and like cheapen up one of the component tobaccos or something like that to shave off another buck or two. Like, but if you get that in like a $10 or $12 price point, like you would sell the shit out of that thing. But $15.
Oh, but I want the treasure chest.
I want the chest.
I want it.
We only sold them as a whole chest because that's crazy, $15 is a lot of money for a cigar. And just like when he came out with the Tabernacle Corona, I got one of those chests too.
But those didn't sell out real quick. Like I
was going to talk about that. Those were around forever.
Yeah, that cigar came out in, right before the trade show that year, or whatever. I think it was 2017 maybe. And I got one of those for like a ridiculous deal on small batch on their Black Friday sale, like, 5 months later or whatever. They still had them on small batch. And I got it for, 35% off or something.
Yeah, that's a good cigar.
Yeah.
Well, I got a really good deal on it too. But yeah, those were, because that was $500 MSRP for that chest.
Yeah.
Because there was 30 of those cigars in there.
Right. And it boiled down to like that Corona that was normally like a $9 cigar where you were paying like $16 for it.
Yeah.
So it was even more than the El Buense, but.
And then I got mine, and then on the edge there's like a little crack in it too. I'm like, oh man,
I got rid of mine. It sat here for like a year, and then I did a raffle back when one of the Facebook groups that was real active back then called Cigar Coalition. I did a lotto, like a Powerball for it, and I included like 5 of the cigars and the box. You know what I mean?
It's such a cool piece, though.
Cigars, basically. So.
Hey, have any of you guys heard anything about that Warped cigar that they did exclusively with small batch? I think it was just a Maduro version.
Oh yeah, I have them right here. I just had a 5er delivered like 2 days ago. It's the Jason Dumont.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
I didn't get any of the regular ones. Like the original blend was their drop release like a month or 2 ago. I didn't get any of those just because it's like a $17, $18 cigar. So I'm a little short on cash these days. But man, I just saw this and I was like, oh, what the hell? I think I had some rewards points on small batch to use. So I'm like, I'll start with 5. It's about.
I'm right there too because I talked with Ted. And he liked it. And he said it tasted not like anything in the Warped portfolio, but it was good. It's just that price point.
Yeah.
Kyle said that he was on a podcast or something recently.
Dojo, right?
Oh yeah, he was on Dojo the other night, and he said that he's like I forget the name of the new company. It's like Proprietary Cigar or something.
Yeah.
Like that. But he said he's all the stuff that doesn't fit under the Warped umbrella, like not just look, like concept wise, but flavor wise, everything. He's gonna push into that company. So.
Well, then he kind of talked about he might use other factories, and then he's like, but I haven't talked to any other factories because that's rolled in Miami.
Right.
At Titan. Did you see that one of the Facebook groups they were fighting about that Warp thing? It looks like the Stolen Throne.
Oh no, I didn't notice that, but I could wait. Let me look at it here.
No, the bundle with the wax seal.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, it's just inverted colors. It's instead of red with a.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there is one that's black with a red wax, I think.
Yeah, so I think I saw somewhere that like Pete mentioned that he had that wax seal on like the Drac, and then like Lou Liga. Do you know him?
Of course, I know Lou Liga.
Okay, yeah. So he started chiming in that, and he said that people have been putting cigars in a bundle with a wax seal since the 80s or 90s or something. Yeah. And then one of the other guys is like, all right, well, can you give me an example? He's like, there's tons of them. He's like, how long you been smoking? And the guy's like, no, I just started, man. So can you name them? And he's like, dude, there's a million of them. I can't. And if I even named them, you wouldn't be able to know what they are. He's like, okay, well, just give me an example. Mm-hmm. And then he couldn't come up with an example. And he's like, fuck it, I'll just call Kyle on Monday and get to the bottom of this. Yeah. And then I checked back to see if he commented on there. Like,
were they saying Kyle that it was a trademark issue?
Just that he copied them.
Oh.
Or that Kyle copied.
I don't think so.
Like this, it's a fucking.
The whole thing that's going on with like this is Lazona-Palooza time of year, and they did a cigar for the Lazona-Palooza virtual attendees called the Wick, which is capitalizing on the the fuse, from the firecracker style cigars, and that whole thing going back, like, I don't know the Dave Garofalo and the Two Guys, but they seem like good dudes, and I've been listening to their podcast for years, and but I just think all that stuff is like, who gives a shit? Like, Pete, Pete's done several cigars with wicks on them. Like, it's like saying, like, oh, you can't make a torpedo because I made a torpedo, but one notch more detailed, I guess. But people take it shit too seriously, whether it's packaging. Now, if someone, I could see someone being, for example, there's a Viaje cigar that has the pumpkin on the thing and stuff, and then the Pete's, pumpkins for the the event cigars and stuff. Like, I could see if one person came out with that and the other was like, okay, that's too similar, marketing wise. I could see that, because you can trademark marketing, like, but.
Do you know which one came first? Did the Full Harvest come first, or did I think the Full Harvest might have come first.
Yeah, it did, I think. Yeah, because the first pumpkins were made, well, I don't know when they were actually made, like the cigars themselves, but the first showing of them, I think, was the late 2016, the first Tatuaje bus tour, when they did like all the Western, like Southwest and Western states, like California and, Arizona and stuff. That was like fall of 2016 was the first time I ever saw them. So I think the Viaje was before that.
Yeah, but Andre and Pete have history going back to, when Pete called him out for using Candela in the White Label project, when Dion used it, and whatever. I get it. I mean, if this is your livelihood and you think somebody's biting your style or whatever, I can understand, but I don't know. It's
I can see it with the marketing. Like, I remember Pete saying recently in one podcast that he's like, if someone uses like something that's too similar to our logo, like, he's like, I have to send them a cease and desist. He's like, I'm like obligated to protect the brand.
Yeah, because then you're setting the precedent. Sense. If somebody completely rips you off, you have to, everything.
Right, that makes sense. It's just like the copying the cigar, like, we're using a shape or a wrapper or like the wick, for example, the fuse, whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm going to take like the Espinosa guy's side on that. Like, who gives a shit? Like, we've all been doing this for so long. That's kind of their attitude. Like, they're not directly copying the marketing of it, and they're selling the cigars to different people. It's like,
yeah. And like Hector said on one of the podcasts, is like, you're a small retail shop up in New Hampshire. It's like, it's not,
right.
Like, we didn't know you were doing it. And Eric flew up there. Eric sat down and talked to them, right. And thought it was squashed. But then every year, they bring it up again. So,
hey, Tyler, in these days that you've been home listening to podcasts, doing nothing else, did you listen to any of our podcasts?
Yes, I went back and listened to.
No way.
Some of them, and I was actually surprised that that's the one thing I worry about, is like the audio, and it seems like it's pretty solid, but
I gotta say, I don't know JP Fingers. I've never met this character, but he is fucking hilarious. Like, I've got, like, every time he's been on your show, which is what, 3 times now, maybe.
Yeah,
he is. Those are just hilarious episodes. Like, I just. I'm usually at work when I'm listening to that stuff, so I'm like up on a ladder. I'm an electrician. I do maintenance work, so I'm like standing on a ladder, like 12 feet up in the air, working on a light fixture and laughing, and trying not to fall off the ladder, basically, or electrocute myself. So,
we had one we did that Dom got super annihilated on, and it was JP and then Rudy, 808 Rudy.
Right.
And that one's been. I don't know if Dom purposely deleted it, but yeah, and I like him. I love JP. I like him when he's brought down just a notch, versus like the rebar stuff. I can't keep up with the, I don't drink, so when he's.
Is that a podcast? Is that what the rebar thing is?
Yeah, that's he was doing a shitload of like solo episodes, because it's like, it used to be J-Dub, who's in Texas, and then Wise Man Pipes, who's up there too. But it's been him and like a guest. Like, he had a porn star on like a couple during the summer.
Nice. Is it a cigar podcast or is it just like a random anything?
It's mostly cigar.
No,
There's a
it's
cigar in
mostly
there
random.
somewhere.
He does a segment called "Shoot Your Shot." That's pretty cool.
That's a good segment.
Or no, shooter's gonna shoot. So it's like he'll go through with somebody, and you got to guess if if somebody left a comment on a Sister of the Leaf, a beard chick, or a porn star, and because it's like some of these people that the way they comment on some of these Sister of the Leafs, like some of their fucking, it's just bizarre the shit guys do on Instagram. Like, and then you click on their profile and they have like a family and 4 kids, and they're talking about it's fucking hilarious.
I know Rich and Mo and Drew are always talking about that stuff on their podcast. Like what does he call it? The
thirst trap.
Thirst trap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
a good podcast. I like those guys a lot.
Oh yeah. Yep. Shout out to those guys. I hope Danny shows up soon sometime. I know.
Yeah, Danny. It's a good dynamic with the 4. I mean, the 3 of them is awesome. We gotta get Dave West back on because Dave West used to do a lot of the SOS podcasts.
I think I need to ask him when he's coming back, but I think it's going to be sometime soonish to the States.
Nice.
So Dom, do you have anything you want to talk about? And then I want to go back and talk a little bit about Illusione when you're done.
Yeah. What counts as a breakfast? Let me explain.
First meal of the day. You're breaking your fast. Sorry.
Okay. Yes. No. Okay. Tyler, first of all, when can you start to eat? When's your intermittent fast start?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. Okay. If you're eating a bowl of cereal, how many bowls is a breakfast? And does it depend on the cereal?
Okay. Well, it also depends on my date and time. If we're talking 2 years ago, it's a box of cereal is my breakfast.
You said date and time. I thought you were inviting girls over for a date, breakfast date.
Breakfast date. Brunch.
Want some Lucky Charms?
No, I'm a Cinnamon Toast Crunch guy. I used to be. I didn't have a lot of cereal. I would have cereal as a fucking snack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. That's a good question.
Chris, how many eggs do you need to eat for it to be a breakfast, normal breakfast?
I would say 2.
All right.
Whether they're just plain or you're making like an omelet with a bunch of shit in it,
Yeah, I feel like two's standard. I think for like diners. Yeah. But if I'm making an omelet, I wish you could do 2.5. Because when I try to do 3 eggs, it usually is too many. 2 eggs is not enough. I'm a 2.5 egg guy.
Well, I do the intermittent fasting too. Just before it was ever called that. Like that's just kind of what I was comfortable with. You know what I mean? Just eating only. Like I would eat one meal. Like my breakfast was always like around lunchtime, and then I'd eat like a dinner. But I always work second shift at work, so I'm always, I need to get some food in my stomach before I start working, and then I eat a meal at work in the evening. So.
Shit. Like
Tyler.
Yeah, what's up?
Eggs, but then also pancakes. How many pancakes do you need to eat for breakfast?
Now I would be like 1 pancake. Maybe 2. Yeah, I could probably eat 2 pancakes.
Like a tortilla.
Yeah. I can't eat very much. But back in the day, man, I would fucking tear it up. I'd have a stack of them, and I'd have an omelet and hash browns. But here's my biggest thing with breakfast is, even now, like now that I can't eat a lot, I would eat breakfast. Like I get up, like I was working at 6:30 a.m. I get up at 5, get ready. I would cook breakfast real quick, and then I'd start a cigar up, and then drive into work, finish the cigar. But I would be hungry like 2 hours later, no matter what.
Yep.
I would always be fucking hungry. So it's like, okay, that's like 300 calories I do for breakfast. It's like, let me just cut that out. And then at night, like when I'm working at the cigar shop, I would find myself eating Pringles, And like next thing I know, there's like throughout the whole night, I eat half a can of Pringles. It's like that's like 700 calories, you know. So that's why I'm like, let me do this fasting thing, because then I'll be like, all right, 7 o'clock, no more eating until, you know, I can't eat for 16 hours. So like if I have a hard rule, I'm not going to go and grab some Pringles, you know, where, and plus, like I was saying, like I'd eat and I'd still be hungry after breakfast. I'd be hungry like an hour, 2 hours later.
Right.
So it just seemed like my biggest thing would be like stop snacking at night, and then I'm hungry anyways, even after I eat. So just don't eat breakfast, and it's been easy. I've been doing it for 21 days now.
I always found that if you don't eat breakfast, you're not hungry like till lunchtime is when your body starts to say like, okay, you've been working for a few hours now, you need to eat something to keep your blood sugar up, you know. But
yeah,
I always found that if I ate breakfast like early in the morning, I'd be hungry, and like an hour later I'd be thinking about food and stuff, and you can't focus. If you don't eat till lunchtime, you're not thinking about food yet. Your digestive system hasn't like started doing its thing yet, so you're able to focus a lot better for like the first half of your workday. You know what I mean? So if I do my job, I would take when there was a lot of work, you know, I'd take overtime and be there for a 16-hour day, and not eat till I'd go in at 7, 8 in the morning, and not eat till noon or 1 or 2. And you know, if I didn't eat breakfast, I noticed I had a lot more energy and like mental clarity and stuff like for the first half of the day, like, you know.
And that was my problem too. Is like I'd work doubles, and then you could like I would snack throughout the whole day, and like that's where, like when you have my surgery, that's how you can gain weight, is if you they call it like grazing, which is kind of funny, but you're just eating a little bit throughout the day. Like you could just keep nonstop, like every 20 minutes you don't go take a bite of something. Or if like you're eating, like they call it slider foods too, like candy, ice cream, chips and shit, stuff you don't get full on. Like if I go and eat like half a chicken breast, like I'm dead full for 3 hours. But if I go and I have like a Reese's peanut butter cup, a bag of chips, you know, I could eat in a half hour.
Right.
So like, cause I'm in a couple like support groups for the people who had the surgery I had. And then it's funny because like for that first year after your surgery, they call it like the honeymoon period, where you can kind of like not follow the diet 100%, and then you're still losing the weight because your body is just like, they do something where your like your metabolism changes and you burn everything, like so you can like eat not exactly, you know, like have some sweets here and there and eat like a little bit of like pizza, blah blah blah, and you're still losing the weight. But after that year and a half, you can start gaining that shit back. So like for me, like I stalled at like 290. So I was at my highest was 420, and then before the surgery I went on a diet and I got down to like 402, and then I went on a 1 week liquid diet and I got down to 377. In 1 week I lost 25 pounds. Yeah. And then when I had the surgery, I was at 377, and then I got down to 290, and then that's when I kind of like plateaued, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to like really focus on this shit. So now I'm at 275. So I've lost 15 pounds since I started like this fasting thing. And it's not like I'm not killing myself. You know, I was working out, but I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. But it's like, it's funny because I'm in these support groups and these people are talking about how like they're eating all this like candy and cake. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, guys, it's going to catch up. It's going to catch up, because then people will go and post on there like, dude, I really fucked up. I had my surgery a year and a half ago and I just gained 25 pounds over the COVID thing. And I'm like, yeah, because you were rubbing it in everybody's face that you could eat whatever you wanted and you still lost weight. Well, that ends. It's ended. And you have to adjust your lifestyle, or you'll get like, you won't gain all the weight back, but you can gain 25, 30 pounds back, yeah. You know?
So you're the responsible one in these groups? You're just calling people out?
No, because
shaming them?
Everybody's so fucking sensitive. So I just kind of, like this one girl was posting about, and it's mostly chicks who get to surgery, and she's talking about how, you know, she's like, I eat whatever I want, I'm still losing weight, so nobody better come and try to bring me down. And I'm like, when was your surgery? I commented, you know, and she's like, She's like, September. I'm like, oh my God, you just, lady, in 1 year, you're going to gain this weight back. And you're going to, like, I almost want to write down her name so I could check back in a year and see if she's gained back some of that weight. But it's going to happen.
Do it, right? And help her, you know what I mean? Like, come back in a year and say, hey, I remember a year ago and I saw that you just posted you put on 18 pounds or whatever. Like, you know.
Yeah, because have you ever seen the movie Thinner? The Stephen King?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. I'll real quick. So this guy is super fat. He's getting a BJ. He's getting roadhead in a car. He runs over a voodoo person and she curses him and says like thinner in his ear. So no matter what he does, he loses weight. And he's like eating and he keeps losing weight. Well, then it gets to a point where he's like 96 pounds and like dies, you know, but he's all stoked because he keeps losing weight and he got cursed, you know, because he killed this chick when he was getting head in the car. But it was like, it's a Stephen King.
That doesn't sound like a real story to me.
Well, yeah, that's it's fucking Stephen King. You think it was based on a true story?
Stephen King has a ton of stuff that's out there. Like you wouldn't think it was something he wrote. Everyone gauges it off of his like real successful stories, you know, stuff that's been made into movies.
Well, yeah, and some of it's like some of the stuff he writes in the books, like it had some weird. Did you read it?
No, I never read it. No.
Dom, did you read it?
No.
There's like a scene where they're all jerking off or something, like in the book.
The heck?
Yeah, there's some weird shit he writes about that doesn't make it in the movies, but
he's a strange dude for sure. But there was something I heard somebody say. I want to say it was Aaron Loomis on Developing Palates, like, or one of the guys on Developing Palates said they were talking like it might have been a couple months ago. I can't recall exactly, but they were talking about TV or movies or something, and they said they named a show or a movie that was based on a Stephen King story, and everybody was like shocked, you know, like. Oh, I didn't know that was Stephen King. You know, I remember thinking the same thing. Like, wow,
well, yeah, he's done like Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile.
Yep.
He's done some like non like horror, you know, kind of. Whenever I watch, I love the guys. In fact, Lake Country is the sponsor of Developing Palates now.
Nice.
I love those guys, but I really want to say to them,
wait, what?
Oh
my goodness.
But anyways,
unbelievable.
I want to comment and say, do you guys even enjoy cigars? Because seriously, every review they do.
I mean, Seth doesn't for sure.
Yeah.
Seth cracks me up, dude. I remember when I first started listening to them a few years ago and just thinking, like, who is this guy? Like, he's just talking shit left and right. Like, he's such a hater. And then I started to realize, like, yes. That's exactly what he is, and then once you embrace that, like it's just classic. Like his spin on stuff, I always get a kick out of. Like they're all great guys, and,
yeah,
and their perspectives are all very unique, and you can see where they have little fanboy aspects for certain brands and stuff, and they'll come out of left field with something you're like, oh, okay, I know that Aaron's gonna hate this cigar, and he ends up loving it, you know, or vice versa, like. It's always entertaining.
Yeah, that's one. I always look forward to their reviews on.
Hey, Dom, I got a question for you.
Oh, I don't know. He disappeared for a minute. Looks like he's got Aaron Loomis's Papasan chair back there, though. You see it?
I can't see it. Yeah.
I
don't have I'm on the regular Zoom view where I only see who's talking. But. Well, when he comes back, I'll ask him a question. Just remind me. But what were you gonna ask about Illusione?
Oh yeah. You bought a bundle, right, of the PCA?
I bought 2 bundles actually.
2 bundles. Have you smoked any yet?
I smoked one of them. Yes.
What'd you think of it?
So I smoked a bunch of the Ultra OP number 9s, which are the same Vitola, but you know, obviously a different blend. And a similar wrapper. It's a Corojo 99, but it's a slightly higher priming, I think, on the Ultras. But I immediately, like, my brain just kept pulling me back to the Ultra, since the Vitola is so identical in the box pressing and everything. So it was hard for me to like. It was almost like my brain was subconsciously looking for that, like, the strength and the bite that from the Ligero in that blend and stuff. And but man, that PCA, it was just so much smoother and stuff. And it's not a cigar that I would say, like a lot of people say, like, oh, it needs a couple months, when it's brand new. But I don't necessarily think it needs a couple months. But I'm looking forward to smoking another one, like in 2 or 3 months, just to see, because that's when I think it'll kind of like, really when you'll be able to get the full picture of what the blend is at that point. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because it's got a Habano wrapper.
Right.
Habano Claro. Has he used that on anything else? Habano?
Yes. It's not common for him, obviously, but man, I can't think of it right now, but it'll come to me.
Yeah. It's different.
Oh,
I
yes.
mean,
the cigar. Oh no, I was thinking of the cigars Privé. There was, the Maduro and the Natural. I was thinking the Natural was Habano, but it might not be.
Yeah. So I've smoked like 5 of them.
Yeah.
I like it. I just don't. It's different. It's different, and I can't like wrap my head around it. Like, if I like, I know I like it, but I don't know if I really like it, and I need to. Like, I'm gonna smoke through. We got a bunch of them at the shop, so.
Oh, you did get them at the shop?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you weren't getting them.
Yeah, I thought we weren't getting them either, but somebody else, because I didn't do the Zoom meeting, somebody else did.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know that somebody else had done it. So usually I do the Zoom meetings for those stuff, and you had to do a Zoom meeting to get them.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, it's super smooth.
Right.
It's.
If I had to guess, I would say their marketing, their idea was, they were really putting it out there that this was like, only if you attended the PCA, and obviously like the show being canceled and everything was like threw a wrench into it. But like I think their original intent was like if there was a show, they really put it out there months before that was only going to be available for attendees. In the hopes that like the stores that aren't super boutique-y and stuff, if they stop by the booth, they could say, here's a cigar, that's only for people at this show. That blue foil packaging is really eye-catching and stuff. And they could say, this isn't like a real strong or real, it's a very center kind of blend, like people that are new smokers or whatever, like could really, like I feel like it's a good blend to turn someone on to like, Aganorsa tobaccos, you know what I mean? So that's something that they could say, like any store can sell this cigar. Like it's, it's cool packaging. Like, I know you said you weren't crazy about the band on it, just being the regular.
No. Yeah, I wish it was. I wish it was something different. Like it should be like an alien or a UFO on there.
Yeah.
Because it's.
Dion never incorporated that into his market. I mean, it's always in like the posters and the little like little posts he does like in social media and stuff, like, but he never incorporated that into the actual cigars. But.
Something like that would have been perfect. It's just 1,500 bundles, But I get that's expensive to come out with a new band. You already have these bands. Like I remember hearing Pete saying that like the reason he came out with the Kruger MBS was because he had a shitload of Kruger bands sitting at the factory. So you're like, I might as well fucking use them.
Right. Yeah, he had like 18,000 of the bands at the factory still or something. They're like, let's use them up.
Also, I think it's kind of smart not doing the alien thing. If it's a limited edition, then that makes sense. But most of the people buying his cigars probably aren't going to know anything about him.
Right.
And if they're going to a cigar lounge and they see something with an alien on it, it's probably going to be a turnoff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like gimmicky or something to them, not fun. And this is because he's into all these conspiracy theories.
Well, I mean, I wasn't really like legitimately like an alien, but like, I know what
you mean, like following the same kind of like his posts on social media that have like the photoshopped like old pictures from like the 1950s tabloids and stuff like that.
Yeah, or like the skull with the bat wings, or something like that. There's something he could do. But it's weird too because like a lot of people come to the shop, they're like, I smoke Connecticut's, or I want something full body. You don't get a lot of people saying I want something nuanced, something complex, something medium body, like full flavor. You don't get that. So that's why like we don't sell a ton of Illusione. I'm trying to bump it up. I got those new gold foil cigars coming in.
Yeah, the Cruzados.
So I'm really curious to try those out.
Oh man, I'll have to dig out some stuff. I have Cruzados from the first release. Like I think I have a box and a half of the Dantes and the I forget what the 6x46 size was called, but they actually, believe it or not, they didn't age. They kind of like aged out already, I would say, from the original release, which was like 7 or 8 years ago. I would say they're kind of past their prime a little bit because I remember smoking them like 2 or 3 years ago and being like, oh my God, these are amazing. And then that triggers that cigar nerd instinct to like, okay, I'm going to put the rest of these away and not smoke them because they're so amazing right now. They're just going to keep getting better, which is not the case with any cigar. Like there's a point where it hits like, no, now's the time to smoke them. And I kind of like, so the group Fat Ash on Facebook did an Illusione contest like a year ago. I think it was last summer. And, I was like, I hadn't actually been smoking a ton of my old stuff for like the year before that. So I said, this is the perfect excuse to, I'm going to get like a ton of entries on this contest and stuff. And,
nice.
Kind of posts. So, but I busted out all the old stuff and basically just started like, going through it. And their Cruzado was one of the ones where I was like, it's still awesome, but it's not as good as I remember it being like 2 years ago. And, so they're at the point where like I'm looking forward to getting some of these new it's a new release of the original blend of Cruzado because the interim Cruzados that have the different packaging are a different blend.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Speaking of,
like,
very least, they're all different vitolas. I don't know how different the blend is, but they're all different vitolas. So.
Yeah, I ordered the 56 ring gauge and then the Toro because a lot of the guys at the shop aren't Robusto smokers. It's like I've been really digging Crux, but we only have Toros and like the Gordos, like,
yeah.
And I'm like, our humidor is so fucking packed, and Matt's been the owner of Lake Country has been so great with. I think there's only been like one time he told me. He's like, I don't think we can order that. I'm like, because everything new.
Cigar,
no, it's like asking my
the
grandpa.
water bottle.
Yeah, it's like asking my grandpa for money. It's like, hey, Matt, So the one thing he kind of said, no to, and it broke my heart because I love the guy, was Dapper, the new Rooster one.
The Devalito.
Yeah, he's like, Tyler, he's like, man, how about we sell some of the other Dapper because we got a shitload of Dapper.
Yeah.
So I moved it to a better spot in the humidor. So we'll eventually bring it in, but we just have no space at all. Like we are so packed. Yeah. But like the good thing is,
focus on your existing stuff, man. You made a commitment to all those other brands and brand owners that when you brought their stuff in, like, I'm gonna sell your stuff. I like it. I'm able to sell it because I like it, and my core group of customers, you can influence those people. So
Tyler, start your own monthly cigar club.
That'd be dope.
Because there are a lot that really I think benefited from people not being able to go into their lounges.
Oh yeah.
But also,
we've been lucky.
There's like been a few that stuck around. I don't see Stogie Bird anymore. Are they still around?
He's active, yes. They're actually based here in Pittsburgh.
Is that Sam Lucia?
Sam Lucia, yep.
Lucia? Okay.
Dude, he came out with that Halloween sampler. I almost bought that.
Yeah, they look cool. I saw a few guys posting that in the Pittsburgh Cigar Club Facebook group here. But it's I just saw him posting a bunch of stuff the other day, so I know he's still active. But someone else said that on a podcast too recently.
Mukau.
Yes,
and Sultans.
Right.
So like this is so. Sorry, Don. I know I've I like getting guys like Chris on here because they've been smoking a lot longer than we have, and they've been like, I didn't get into the boutique stuff. I've been smoking for 10 years, like seriously for 10 years, but I only really got into the boutique stuff like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like another one I wanted to. I've been obsessed with Calibras. Like I really want that Serpent and the Rainbow one, but
Yeah.
you know, it's like you
posted the other day. I thought you found some.
No, I wish.
No?
That comes.
I got one of them. I got one of them coming from somebody. So
yeah, well, I just couldn't, because we have like boxes of the 2019 at the shop, so it's like,
yeah,
I can't, you know, and that's like talking about like Dissident. Like I enjoy the stuff from them. I think the soapbox is really good, but it's like
definitely
I can't justify bringing in, you know, because it's like I talked to the rep. He's like, yeah, you can order those, but you got to order 4 more boxes of soapbox or block. I'm like, we have those already, so right. I couldn't, you know, it's like you can order 2 of each,
right?
But you have to order, you know, block and soapbox. I'm like, I can't justify that to Matt to order more of something that's just sitting there, you know, and that's the hard part. And I was going to ask you this too, is like working at a shop, you can only pick like your certain brands that kind of like push, you know. And so like I have 4 brands, like Matt, the owner, like Country, makes fun of me. He calls them like my core 4, which is Roma, right, Foundation, Tatuaje, and all this, you know, and the Patina.
Right.
You know, where it's like Patina, like the whole shop got behind Patina, you know, and that's something where I've gotten people to try it. There you go. He's Dom's gonna fire up a Patina, I think. But nice. It's something that I don't have to like hand sell anymore. Patina is moving on its own. Like right. A couple weeks ago, I was working, and this guy came in, grabbed a bunch of like Monte Cristo whites, some other like stuff, and then he grabbed a full box of Patina off the shelf. You know, right. Yeah, it's like right. I don't have to hand sell Patina. Like once you get people to try it, it's a fucking amazing cigar, especially the Connecticut and the Maduro Robusto. Right. Dom likes the double Toro. But
superior,
I don't have
in every way.
I don't have to hand sell that anymore. But I still do recommend it to new people. But right. Patina has legs on its own. You know, that cigar, you know, so, and same with Roma Craft. Like I came back to the shop yesterday. And I was just looking to see, I'm like, holy shit, you know, it was beautiful out. So people were buying cigars, and I go to the Roma Craft section, and a lot of the boxes were like half full. Like people have been going to Roma Craft and going back to it. Yep. You know, so it's like.
Well, you know how like in a lot of, you know, you've heard it, I'm sure in many podcasts over the couple years, like how a lot of brand owners will say like, when is it you keep coming out with new stuff, you start cannibalizing your own customers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't, like eventually, I think Mo said it recently on one of the Sultan's podcasts where he's like, you know, you want to come out with new stuff, but you want to let your core stuff, you know, be the, you know, support, you know, like kind of the foundation of everything. And, you know, I'm a big believer of that, but it also applies on a retail side too. Like you have your core customers, and those guys, like it or not, no matter how wealthy someone is, or if they're working a bunch of overtime at their job, or they inherit some money from a relative or something like that, like they have like the same amount of money they're going to spend on a monthly basis, and it fluctuates drastically based on the person, you know. But eventually, you're going to start cannibalizing your own customers. So like your people that are smoking, say, Patina Connecticut's. Well, what if they used to be Ecuador, you know, Intemperance EC smokers, and you'd be like, oh man, the Intemperance EC used to sell great, but now, you know, it's not anymore. And coincidentally, now the Patina Connecticut's are selling a bunch. It's the same guys buying them, you know. It's like you got to kind of think of your customers and what they're spending each month, and you know, like is bringing in this new brand, like you mentioned the Dapper stuff. Like, is that De Valito brand gonna cut into like some of the other Dapper stuff, or is it gonna cut into like something else? You know, I mean, it's all. Not that I know. I haven't worked in tobacco retail for a long time, but it's, you know, it's something to think about, I guess. So.
Yeah, and like one of my good friends told me he worked retail for a while too. He worked at Yuli's which is a downtown shop in Milwaukee. And he worked at Metro, and he was talking about how you're basically selling the same amount of cigars every month, the same people. And, I mean, the weather dictates it, whatever, but you have to either like create new customers,
Right.
So like, that's like what I focus on is building a relationship with a customer, getting that guy to, instead of buying two and leaving, start hanging out at the shop, and then maybe you smoke a few more, or get somebody off of the Perdomo Fresco, have them try a Charter Oak, Connecticut, and then maybe from there take them up to a Patina or whatever. But it's like, and another way is you can steal customers from other shops, right? So it's like, and then like that's how we do a good job is, we have, and I think you guys are both in that group I started, the LCC Revival, the Facebook thing. So we post a lot. Like I post stuff on there. Like if we're getting 5 boxes of something, I'm going to put it to like our core fans who, and I'm going to sell those to those guys. I'm not going to sell it to the guy who comes in and only buys Monty Whites or whatever. Like it's for, it's for the people. It's not, well, it's for anyone who wants it, but I'm trying to pull the guys from Milwaukee. I'm trying to pull the guys from Milwaukee to drive out 20 minutes to a suburb, make the pilgrimage, whatever, come here and pick up this LE that we have, and then the other LEs. So that's how we do. We sell a lot of LEs and shit.
There's a shop in Pittsburgh here. It's literally on the opposite side of the city from where I live. It's like a 20 minute drive if there's no traffic. Which for Pittsburgh, that 20 minutes is like, you can get to West Virginia in 20 minutes. So it's like, that's a long drive for anyone that lives around here. But, I go there, it's an Espinosa Lounge. It was one of the first, I think it was the second Espinosa Lounge. It's been an Espinosa Lounge for like 10 years or something, or 9 years, something like that. But, it's called Allegheny Smokeworks. And, but the staff is really cool. I've always gone to that shop, but I used to go like a couple times a year. But then maybe 3-4 years ago, I started going up like once a month. And, before the pandemic and stuff, I was just up there all the time. Like it was worth it for me to drive because he always, Mike was always getting stuff that I could count. It's stuff I could buy online, but I want to support a local shop, and I know he's going to get it, especially if it's Espinosa, especially if it's, Foundation, he's always going to get that stuff, and whatever. Like he was like, you remember when what's the brand, M Bombay?
Yeah.
Those cigars. So like when they started getting real popular, like maybe 2 years ago, like he got them in, and I knew that there was a bunch of different lines that I wanted to try at least, and I was seeing them pop up on the websites and stuff online, and I'm like, you know what? I know he's going to have those, so I'm going to drive the 20 minutes up there.
Those wrappers look like diarrhea.
You don't like them?
No, I wasn't a fan.
Oh, I like it.
What the heck's going on?
I don't know, but you always make fun of my camera.
Yeah, because your camera sucks.
I don't know why. It's a fucking brand new MacBook Pro, but fuck Apple. Yeah, I mean it's weird retail. It's not, because then there's shops around here where they can't sell. They don't know anything about the cigar. They can't tell you anything, and so like we sell a shitload of Macanudo, we sell a shitload of Romeo, a shitload of Monte Cristo, but we always have somebody. We always greet you. We always go in the humidor with you, and we're always making recommendations. And there's some shops that they don't have the people who it's just like a job to them, kind of, or it's like they enjoy smoking, but they don't. That's it. It's like they couldn't tell you. Like I remember when my first cigar job, I was there like 3 months, and somebody came in. He's like, I'm looking. I'm like, oh, you have any questions? And I could tell he was kind of like, he looked at me like, this fucker doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking, I like Nicaraguan cigars, and I was like, Hoya de Nicaragua, like I didn't know like anything, and then that's when I'm like, if I'm going to be doing this, I need to learn more, and that's when I went to the trade show. The first, it would have been, I've been to 3, so this would have been 4 years ago, and like it just clicked for me, and I got home and I was just like wanted to learn fucking everything about it, because I never got on the forums. I did a little bit of Instagram, but like I would just go to the shops. I would go to the shop and then just talk to the guys, and so it's like, when that guy, I just felt like an idiot. Like I couldn't tell you, and then now it's like, well, I'm looking for something, Nicaraguan. While you're looking for the factory to be in Nicaragua, or you're looking for Nicaraguan tobacco, because like,
okay, Tyler, no one's going to ask for Nicaraguan cigars and want the factory only. There's no way that's a thing.
Okay, when you think of the Cro-Magnon, what do you think? I think of a Nicaraguan cigar, but it's got a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper and a Cameroon binder.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of Nicaraguan puros out there, like the El Wawense, the Encore, right, all the Mumbacho stuff.
Aganorsa and their satellite brands that they make, like, that's the bulk of the Nicaraguan puros. I mean, all the Garcia made stuff like Pepin, my father's stuff years ago was a Nicaraguan puro before they couldn't keep up with the wrapper production, and they realized that Ecuador was getting so much better Habano leaf. But those all used to be Nicaraguan puros, but no longer.
Yeah, so I mean, but then this got me back to when I was talking about like working at a shop and then wanting to bring in everything, but you can't. But I remember me and you were talking about when Craft 2020 came out, and then the Weasel packs were like, me and you were like, what the fuck? Like our wallets are hurting, like
the new Baca size was right around the corner. Yep.
Yeah.
I know you said would you get 2 or 3 boxes? I had to buying more than 1 box. I got a 5-pack from somebody, and then I got a box from I think I got the box from Famous also, because they had just their price was like 10% off. And then there's like a code.
Yeah. Oh, it was like $200 for a box, 24 of them.
Right.
I think
can't beat it.
We're gonna be, me and Dom are doing a list, and that Baca size is gonna be pretty high up there for me.
Oh,
that's killer. Been the most I've smoked of any cigar this year.
Yep.
I almost lit up the Baca from the Weasel Fest. That didn't happen.
I still haven't smoked any of the Weasel Fest packs yet.
I have 2 left in my box.
I burned through those fuckers so fast, and then I sold some.
That's probably what I'll end up doing, is recouping some money on it so I can pay for my ticket next year if they have it next year.
Oh, dude, I'm stoked about they're doing the 4.5 by 60s.
Yeah.
But I guess the Wonderlust won't be in that sampler, I guess.
No.
That's what Half Wheel said, I think.
Oh.
So it's going to be, but I'm stoked for the Neanderthal in that 4.5 by 60.
I don't know. I mean, I've never smoked anything similar to that Vitola.
Tom, what was your favorite of the Grand Perfectos so far? The original Weasel Fest.
I'm gonna say maybe the Intemperance.
The EC was great.
The Connecticut.
Yeah. Oh,
that
was
one.
Great.
Yeah, and then Neanderthal.
Nice.
Which is pretty much where I mean, I normally smoke a Neanderthal in any facing, and then Whiskey Rebellion is my go-to for the other.
Tarred and Feather's coming out soon, the box press.
Yeah, there hasn't been much media coverage of that at all. Like there was a little, some press releases when they first Skip, I think, first posted it, and that was months ago. Like no one said anything about it or talked about it or anything. So
I'm really curious to see like what the LEs are going to be like in 2021 with these guys not being able to get down to the factory. Like Viaje, I mean,
they're just going to be here. Here's my they're making so much money with LEs the last couple of years. They're still gonna do them. They're just not gonna be as good a quality because they're not down there to check it, and
Yeah, I mean the thing is like with I mean obviously like with those new Weasel Fest cigars, Skip, I'm guessing that's something Skip put together while he was in the States. But when you have a partner like Esteban, I mean that's fucking
Right.
easy, And then same with like Andre, it's like in Viaje, it's like, look, he's working with Aganorsa. All you got to do is call him up and say, hey, 3 years ago, we came out with the jalapeno pepper. Let's run that back. Send me some samples and let's see how it's tastes. So I could see.
Yeah, something like that that's been done before, and they already have the blend, all the blend sheets and everything ready to go.
I mean, VI's got 10,000 different SKUs. He could easily. I'm not worried about VI, especially now that he got out of PDR, because that stuff coming out of PDR was just garbage. And I don't like talking shit about companies, but
Tyler, we probably should wrap it up sometime soon. But I could see Illusione or any other company that has a good amount of facings that they're working on model their limited editions off of S&S and just have a different label, but send like 5 different sticks in a pack.
Yeah, a lot of the S&S stuff they just tweaked like one thing, like like they'll tell you like it's the 8-baller, but it has a Connecticut wrapper on it or something. Like they'll just switch it up. One component is different.
Yeah, I could see that being done. Not just switching things up, but maybe like 5 potential brands that even haven't been released yet. Not just tweaks off of old ones. Just to gauge public interest maybe in the future.
I'm really digging the WMD from Viaje. It's really good. I'm stoked to try the Daisy Cutter or smoke the day. I haven't smoked it in a couple months, so super stoked. So has there been? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so like you were talking about like how you grow, like from a retail perspective, how you grow your customer base, and I think Dom is a perfect example. Like if Dom lived in, like say he lived like a 5-minute drive from Lake Country, he's somebody that he could spend more time there. You know what I mean? So Dom, I'm assuming, I'm just guessing, but I'm kind of making the assumption that you don't frequent a cigar shop. Like there's not one that's just like 5-minute drive from your place in California.
Right now, well, I'm moving again on Sunday. Not a 5-minute drive. It'll probably be 15. I think I haven't slated it out, but
that's not bad for California.
I've had 2 that I've been going to steadily since I moved to San Jose 3 years ago, but I haven't been in a few months.
Well, it's like
staying at home.
Remember when the CQ2s came out? Did you get any of those, Chris?
CQ2, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I got some, and then like that's like right by.
How many? I know you're trying to pry into my stash here.
No, I know. That's anyways, so Dom's like, that's my fucking like that shop's right down the street or some shit, and he didn't even know about it. Like he went to the shop like a month later. Hey, can I get some CQ2s? And it's like, I think I probably got those. I think you posted it in a group. That's like a lot of some of the stuff is I see you posted in a group, or you'll give me a heads up and I go on there and get it. So I was able to snag 2 boxes of those. I
went to Mission Pipe to pick up the TAA 2020 this year's Tatuajes, and I came in the day after they posted on Instagram, and I asked about it, and the guy he seemed kind of hesitant because I don't go there often, and I'm this younger guy asking for a box. I don't know. I hadn't built up any credibility with him.
Well, if I were, if Lake Country ever got blessed with like a single shop exclusive from Tad or anyone else.
You hear that, Pete Johnson?
Yeah.
You hear that, Pete Johnson?
I would have to hold back some for the regulars, I would hold back a few.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, but okay, so we'll wrap this up. But my last question is has there been anything recently that you've kind of wish you would have bought more of, or something that like 10 releases came out this month and you bought 9 of them and you just couldn't, you couldn't justify like another, like for me, it's like I bought all this shit and then, like we were talking about the Swarm, like I bought a box of Swarm and they were pretty expensive, like
Yeah.
I think it's 24 count box and like $11, or $12 or some shit.
Yep.
But has there been anything like you feel like you've missed out on or you wish you would have loaded up on more?
No, I mean, if anything, I'm the opposite because I kind of like, there's times when I load up on stuff and I'm like, I didn't need to buy this many of these. And then, I might turn around and flip some stuff and, or I'll reach out to friends and say, hey, is anyone looking for this? You know what I mean? But it's not often. I just end up hanging on to a lot of stuff, but I can't think of anything right off the top of my head.
Because I went pretty deep on some of the aroma stuff.
Yeah, I do wish I went. I just got the basic Lazona package, the $150 one, for their Lazona Palooza event. But once I saw what I always knew what came in the next tier up, but I kind of was like, oh, I don't need to spend, I need to cut back a little bit.
Holidays.
Right. Yeah. And I kind of like immediately regretted, like I should have gone for the $300 package, but it's one of
I
those
regret not getting any of them. Because that $500, $500 is a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, that would have been too much. I mean, a big chunk of that, they got like a humidor thing and it's cool, but like, I just can't justify that much.
Yeah,
right
that would have looked great in my smoking lounge. I mean, put that on the wall, but like those flashbangs, like I don't like, like the Romacraft, like the mandibles, those are fucking great 60 ring gauge cigars, and those flashbangs are 60 ring gauge.
Yeah,
I'm not
even though it's a Bellicoso, I'm still not a 60 ring gauge guy, so I wasn't like. Part of me, the cigar nerd of me, was like, yeah, I want to try them in those sizes, but I'm like, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then like the protocol, the new stuff from them, and then the that barber pole, I'm really fucking intrigued with that,
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll probably end up regretting not getting the Serpent and the Rainbow, like a box of the Corona Gordas, and then getting that Calibra.
Well, the Calibra is just
Calibra, yeah.
It's like the Lancero. It's just like 3 of the Lanceros wrapped together. It's not, you know what I mean? I missed them when they first came out last year, and the first production of them, I missed them. I didn't get any. And at first I was like all, pissed off, like, damn it, motherfucker,
Yeah.
Then I eventually kind of said, it's still just the the S&R blend, and it's not it's not the end of the world. And I said he'll probably do it again. And I'll get one the next time, and I did. So whatever.
Yeah, I just like we talked about the Swarm. I'm like, I really hope because that was one where you had to order a shitload of Black Label to get one box of the Swarm.
Right.
So it's like for me to talk to, hey Matt, order 10 of these so I can buy the one box we're getting. No, it wouldn't. So I ended up getting it from a shop, and I think Iowa. My buddy scooped them up for me, but.
That's a great cigar, that Swarm. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I haven't had one in a while, so.
But I don't know how I feel about all that. The manufacturers trying to push the core line. Like the core line should support itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Roma and Tat and Foundation.
Yeah,
their core lines. Yeah, they like the Foundation. Nick's done, I think, the best job of keeping the core line going, or not. It's the Tabernacles. I was always more of the Wewense wise man. Now I'm sliding a little bit back over to. Then I was over on the Tabernacle. Now I think I'm going back over to the Aganorsa stuff a little bit more. Yep. But like that core line, the only thing that really hasn't like been my style, and Nate keeps telling me to smoke the Churchill, is the Highclere Castle Victorian.
Yeah.
I need to smoke more of those because the small ones aren't, and I usually like a Robusto.
All 5. I thought every single one of those Vitolas was amazing in that That's the Victorian's the red band one, right?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
they're pretty
that's
expensive too, so maybe that's
right.
why I haven't really
If they
visited
were
it.
if they were a notch down in price, I would be all. I mean, I'd be smoking them more than I do. But it's you know it's a tough sell in that, and I can't like not saying anything bad about Nick or AJ Fernandez and Tabacalera Fernandez. Like it, they're amazing cigars. And I know Nick is it's a contract brand. Like another factory is making for him since he doesn't have his own factory, so he's got to build his profit margin into those somewhere. But it is, it's one of those things where I just feel like it's just a little. I don't want to say it's not worth the money, but it is. But it's that price point is why I'm not smoking them more than I am.
Yeah. All right. This was the last thing, Dom. Where do you got to go anyways? Is your laptop gonna die?
No, it's not. Dude, Chris, I don't know what time he has to work in the morning, and
I work second shift, man. Today's my Sunday. Like I'm on the second day of my weekend. So
you're not helping me out, man. That was my excuse. No, I plan on editing this before bed. So.
Oh, okay.
I will talk cigar nerd stuff with you guys all night long. I'll sit here for 4 hours.
That's where I'm at. This has been one of our better, like, natural, like, conversations. Have you smoked the grasshoppers?
No, I haven't. That's okay. There you go. That's the answer to the question. That's what I missed out on. I was when you guys had them, I was gonna contact you and say like, see what Vitolas of the Victorian, the high Paso Victorian you had, and get some. But I was at the time I just couldn't justify it, and I think that's right when all the Romacraft, all the Weaselfest stuff was dropping too.
Yeah, so. It was a few weeks before that. Yeah, so
I knew it was coming up, and I'm like, I just can't spend $200 on a box of cigars just to get these 5 event cigars,
Yeah, I have an extra one, so I can send you one, and then we can do a trade and just send me whatever if you want to try them.
I'm not. The other way I justified it was I'm not a Candela guy, so I know that two of the cigars are straight Candela and one's like a barber pole. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
I can't. There are Candelas that I've enjoyed, but I just, I really just can't throw any sort of buying power behind anything that's where the reward is some limited editions that are Candela wrapped.
Yeah. What's been the what's up, Dom?
I was saying I'm gonna try to open that pack next week or the week after, because I want to try once I move. I'd like to do an analogy or two again, and I've been saving that pack to do it on that.
What do you guys think?
Kim might be making a comeback, so I gotta get back in it.
What's been the best event-only cigar you guys have had?
Broadleaf pumpkin.
The broadleaf pumpkin?
Nope.
I think I got a couple of those. I've never had the San Andreas pumpkin, but I got the broadleaf pumpkin.
Did you get any of the shrunken pumpkins from the Smoke In event?
No, I'm hoping that we can do an event in January with Pete or what
Hear that,
virtual.
Pete and KC and Dan?
Yeah, because we did the event with Dan right before COVID fucking hit in February, and it was one of our best events ever. But that surrogate event only was good, and then the pumpkins have been. I've never had the black. Didn't he do like the tap black for an event only?
Yeah, that was one of the original event only. So it was just a 5x50 Robusto.
How were those?
I don't think I got any of those because there was no Pete. I don't think Pete's ever done an event in Pittsburgh. So there's a shop about 2 hours west of here in Akron, Ohio, called Havana House, and it's owned by
Tony. Yeah,
it's Gino. Yeah, Tony and his dad Gino. It's their shop, but it's run by a cat named Matt Waris, who's on
Matty Cupcakes.
Matty Cupcakes. He's on stuff. He's a great dude.
Great dude.
Beginning and so they're going to go to that shop. Pittsburgh's like less than 2 hours away, so they're not going to stop here. There's no shop. Like if I ever opened a store and that'd be a dream come true to open a shop, and like I would be the tat shop. You know what I mean? There's shops here that sell Tatuaje, but they're not into it. They're not like S&S guys or into the event stuff or anything.
How far is Holtz from you?
That's Philly. That's 4.5, 5 hours.
4.5, 5 hours.
Yep.
How far is B&B from you?
He's right in Philadelphia. He's
in Philly. I think for me the best event only cigar was the Menelik.
Yeah,
in that pack. And I talked to Nick, and Nick said the new Menelik exactly the same. Nothing was changed at all with that.
Yep.
But he was saying that the Menelik, why the event only is different because they had like a year of age on them.
Yeah, I could see that. Yep.
So I bought a box of Menelik, and they got to be getting close to a year.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna I gotta bust those out because those were I should have took the cello off of them. I might go do that right now.
And he could say that could be his explanation, but like there can still be differences in the crops year to year and stuff. And granted, they're doing everything they can to validate the tobaccos, and make sure if the blend is staying the same, if they have to switch a priming or something like they always talk about. But there's no guarantee it's exactly the same. So when people say that, like, they're half full of shit, but then the manufacturer's half full of shit when they deny it. It's like, you don't know for sure. Like, stuff changes. Like, we're about to find out with the Illusione, the re-release of the Cruzado originals. You know what I mean? So
well, you're gonna find out. I've never had the original, so
yeah. Oh, I have. I at least have this. I at least have the two larger Patolas. So I think I have like maybe 3 or 4 of each size left from.
I think I mentioned this to Mo, but I think Mo should do an event only, because he does a lot of events. Well, pre-COVID, he was on the road every other week. He'd be on the road, and if he came out with, similar to Tat, similar to my father, that cardboard, and then did a Maduro Habano Connecticut in like a different size. And I mean, I could just see like the card, like in my head, I'm like, it's fucking beautiful. Like the cardboard, and it's like that teal color. I'm like, that would be so fucking dope. And then it would be like he could do something different, like put like a pigtail on it and a close foot. Whatever, but
he should do a 3-pack of Lanceros as like a fuck you to himself and the other guy on the Sultans of Smoke.
Him and Rich. Yeah, that would be dope. I mean, just to do like a 3-pack in a size at like a Perfecto, Perfecto Lancero would be pretty expensive. And he makes the Robusto and he makes the precipitation size, so I don't know what it could be like
that unicorn Vitola from Saka, like, the factory has those molds, you know what I mean? That Perfecto's, whatever it is, like 6.25 by 60 or whatever it is.
Have you smoked a unicorn?
No, I have one from the original release, that I got and haven't smoked it. It's sitting in there.
Have you tried the Brulee Blue?
Yes, yeah, I did try the blue. Yep,
I like that one.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it's a little mild for my taste, but it, for what it is, it's an excellent cigar. And I love Lonsdale's. Like Lonsdale's just a killer.
Yeah, like that original black, the original Black Friday that came in that black 5-pack. That's like one of my favorite. That's my favorite Black Friday. In that size too. Yep. Dom, is there an event cigar that sticks out for you?
Dude, I can't think of any other than Menelik. And I didn't even get that one from an event. I think someone sent one to me. So I've only had
Richie,
one.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Black Label's had a couple good event only cigars. The MBK Lizard King.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a great one.
I love the MBK blend, man. That was the original MBK was the blend that hooked me onto James's stuff. And like James's palette is so different from every other. I'd say he's all the big brands, all the boutique brands that we're all into and stuff. Like all these guys are very unique palettes from each other, but he is the most different from all of them. Just in that like earthy, like dark, bittersweet kind of, all his blends, like, a ton of that stuff, and he was that NBK was the one that really grabbed me a few years ago. And I remember hearing about him, and he was just, in the first few years their company was around, like just another small boutique brand that is, becoming popular. And it was one that for some reason I just I strayed away from for a while from trying. One, there was no shop in Pittsburgh that carried any of that stuff, like anywhere near here. So that's the main reason. But then once I got my hands on those NBKs, I was like, okay, I started ordering. I was like calling stores that don't even have websites and stuff, like, hey, do you carry, do you have any of these? I'm like, oh yeah. And I was finding Nocturne Deliverance from a couple years before, and like I ended up branching out to a bunch of different retailers just to find Black Label trading stuff. You know what I mean? And but anyway, that NBK was just that's an iconic blend to me. Like I adore that cigar.
Yeah, for me, I think what sold me was that Killer Bee with that Candela close foot. I mean, I've smoked a couple boxes of those. I have a box in there that's probably 2 years old. And then the Cato was an event only. Yep. He's done some good event only ones. Absolutely. So yeah. Fuck. Oh, this is okay. Last question. We'll wrap it up. Dom, sorry.
Oh my goodness. We've got 3 last questions.
I know.
Go ahead.
This is for sure the last one. So you guys know I already named my core 4 brands. Do you guys, if you could only smoke
Roma, Foundation, and
Tat.
Why? Yeah.
If you guys could only smoke 4 brands for the rest of your life, what 4 brands would it be? Well, you guys think, I'm just going to say with Patina, that Connecticut, you could say, it's weird that I have Patina in the top 4, but that Connecticut is so fucking good for me. If I could only smoke one Connecticut for the rest of my life, it would be that one. So that's why Patina's in there. He's only got 3 blends. The Maduro's really good, Habanos really good, but that Connecticut Churchill, if I could only smoke one Connecticut for the rest of my life, it's that Churchill. That's why it's in there. If you guys think it's weird, any listeners or anything, but
no, that's. I mean, for a newer brand that's a smaller company and has a smaller portfolio, that's saying something. That's a commitment to that cigar. That's mad respect for that.
Tyler,
I know for me, I'd have to substitute something with Illusione.
Brand, you smoke a lot of Espinosa, Illusione, Black Label, and Tad and Roma. So for you, what's your 4?
Oh man. Tatuaje is definitely one. I mean, I always tell people, I'm like, I have a bunch of favorites, but only one favorite. I've been I remember I was working in a cigar shop here in Pittsburgh in 2003 when Tatuaje first came out, and they ordered them, and they're like, I remember the shop owner saying like, oh yeah, it's some white dude from California. But it was just to me, it's just I can't. I absolutely adore the brand and everything, and so Tat's definitely one. Illusione is definitely one, and those other 2 spots, man. I mean, how do you choose between
Roma,
Roma,
Foundation,
Black Label? For me, I mean, Espinosa's got to be one of them. Not just the quality of the cigars, but the quality of the people.
Yeah,
I mean, Eric and those guys are just Hector, just unbelievable.
Eric's one of the nicest dudes. I've only met him a couple of times at the trade show, but the owner Matt is really good friend with them.
He's the real deal, man.
Yeah, he sent he had an event up at Lake Country, and he brought he sent up a coffee machine, and then he sent a video him how to use it, showing Matt how to make this Cuban coffee, and sent this little video, and Eric's just the real deal, and Hector's a character.
Yep. Man, I don't know if I can I don't know if I can narrow it down to just 4. I mean, I can't, I couldn't choose between Black Label and Roma and I mean, it's there's others too. I mean, all the I've been an Aganorsa fanboy since before HVC is real hot right now. I love that stuff, is awesome. But the warped stuff I've always liked, and I've been
Saka stuff.
How do you discount that?
Viaje, just with the vast portfolio they have. Crown Head's been coming out with some great shit.
Yeah.
This year's been a really good year for Crown Heads. That Mil Diaz is really good.
Yeah.
That Capa especially.
Tyler, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make maybe we'll post it as a story, as a blank slate, and then we'll fill it up. But it'll be this a plain screen, but we'll have tiers. So you have your God tier brands, upper tier, mid tier, low, maybe not low tier. God, upper mid, and mid. And we'll put our logo on the side. And then we'll have people just all you have to do is like screenshot it, and then you write in your brands and where you think they fit in.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'll find a way to make it look nice.
Dom?
I think I'm pretty synced with you. The two that are fighting for a spot are Dapper for me, and Crowned Heads. I've never been a huge Crowned Heads fan until I think this year.
One cigar can change everything.
I know. Well, it's like with me and Crux now. Like that Epicure Maduro is fantastic.
Dude, that's another AJ cigar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something for another discussion, or have that. We'll have that discussion either not on the podcast since we're running out of time here, or you have the discussion with somebody else, and I'll have the discussion with somebody else at some other time. But there's a theory that someone pointed out to me like a year ago, maybe, that AJ Fernandez is like the next Pepin.
I just read an article about that. Yeah.
Oh, what article? Because I want to read it.
It was on Half Wheel, and it was like from 7 years ago.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I'll send you the link.
If that's the case, then Charlie or whoever wrote it is truly like an oracle, because I remember hearing someone say that a couple years ago, and I was like, no. I mean, not a couple years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Like there's no way that's, like this guy makes a bunch of cigars for Cigars International, or, they're I'm like, there's no way. And then now I see it, and it's like years later, I'm like, holy cow, like it's truly like the quality of his stuff has risen, to the occasion, like, to that of his peers in every way possible. So
it's weird that I don't find myself smoking a lot of Pepin's own stuff or AJ's own stuff.
Exactly.
Isn't that weird? Is it because I don't know the guys?
No,
I don't, like my father's got some great cigars. AJ, that New World, that was one of the first cigars.
Yeah.
Like I got hooked on. That was like, like this is $6. Like this is fucking nuts. That New World, And then the Last Call, like for that price point,
killer cigar. I mean, that little Last Call, those little I forget what the size is. It's like a little 4.5 by 48 or something.
And I haven't smoked either of those in forever. And that New World Connecticut is really good too.
Yep.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because you get to know, like I spent time with all these guys in Nicaragua, Dion, Nick, Skip, Mo, Pete, and I've met Pepin and AJ in Nicaragua too. I've met James Brown, it's
but look at the parallels of those two guys, like what stage of their life they came to the United States from Cuba, and like when they started, like how old they were when they, branched out into the different parts of their business, like when they started their own factories, when they started buying farms, all that stuff. Like all the little similarities, like the fact that neither of them speaks English, you know what I mean? Like there's so many little weird little like freaky kind of like comparisons you can make, but like you can even start comparing some of the cigars they've made.
Yeah, that's a good. That we should do that. That would take some research on my part.
Yeah, it's a serious cigar nerd topic, but it would be a really cool thing.
I'd love to get Rich on there. It'll be us three and Rich Mukau.
Yeah.
One brand that I haven't smoked in forever, and I don't know the next time I'll ever smoke it. Mumbacho. What happened to them?
Mumbacho?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll make it quick. You keep asking interesting questions. I got to keep answering them, dude. My biggest take is so like I've only met Claudio and his business partner, the Canadian dude. I can't remember his name. I've only met them once at the trade show last year. I was hanging at the bar with Island Jim Robinson, and he's buddies with them, and he introduced me to him. They seem like great dudes. I know there is a trademark conflict that Aganorsa actually owns the trademark for a cigar named Mumbacho in the United States. So there could be some hurdle there. I don't want to speak out of turn.
Yeah. But
I also know that I remember hearing them say that they have a very good following overseas. Their non-United States business is doing very well. So if they don't need to focus on pushing their brand here, which is already saturated with boutique cigars, maybe they're focusing on Europe and other parts of the world. That's my only guess.
Yeah, I haven't. and just how they run. It seemed like they'd run through people too, like with the marketing, like Robbie Raz and Jacqueline Sears, and I don't know, and then like their Instagram totally like took another turn.
Yeah.
Now it's it's just funny that the whole Maestro Claudio, master blended. He's got 3 cigars or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it for this week, guys.
You
Sorry,
you sure you don't have any more questions, Tyler?
It's only been 2 hours.
Don't ask him that because he's gonna have like 10 more questions.
Tyler, remember, it takes me double 2 edits. It's gonna take me like 4 hours to edit this thing.
It can wait a day. You can hold on.
No, he's gonna get it done tonight. It's been 2 weeks.
Thanks, Tyler. No, tomorrow's football night.
No one you're the only one who watches football anymore.
I'm not the only one. No, come on. ICS, we've got a league going. I'm running the whole thing. I love football. But no, because I really have to strap down.
I want to ask
packing.
you a question. I just remembered.
Yeah. What's up?
I had one question for you. It was you were off camera, and I was like, "Hey, where'd you go? I got a question. What other cigar podcasts do you listen to? I know Tyler listens to like all of them, like I do. But what other ones do you listen to?
I can't blame Tyler for not listening. I haven't listened to our podcast since, not since the shutdown, but for like 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
Because the only time I really have that I listen to podcasts is when I'm commuting to work. But I've moved so close. I've been online for a long time, and then now I can't even listen to November Rain because I get to work before it ends. That's I try to listen to November Rain every day of November. That's my thing. Oh, get at it! Come on.
You are so weird with these theme months you have.
Yeah. Oh wait. When I was 25, I tried to listen to "What's Up" by Four Non Blondes as much as possible because the first line is 25 years and my life is still yada yada. Anyway, the podcast.
Should I listen to it every day for a whole year?
It didn't work. I'll listen to it maybe like 12 times. But when I go to visit my parents, when I help them move and whatnot, it was Soul in the Smoke.
Nice.
And
you got
Ours.
And which one?
Yeah. And Ours. I'll listen to an episode to see what we can change.
Oh, okay.
If I have any time after that, maybe I would listen to Joe Rogan. It's not cigar related, but that's about
for
it.
Me, it's Sultans of Smoke, Cigar Coupe, El Oso Fumar. But a lot of it now is depending on the guest. Now it's like, sometimes how about that cigar Authority, depending on.
I didn't listen to How About That Cigar for the first like 3 months that it was out or so, like maybe the first dozen or 14 episodes or so. And then I was like, you know what? They're having some awesome guests on. I just didn't have time. Like I only had time for so many podcasts. But once I started listening to it, like Matt and Garrett are just awesome. Like I love their perspective. Matt's voice is like, you can't have a better radio voice. Like I used to work in the music business in another life, but like from an audio engineering perspective, like Matt Ty's voice is the voice for, like he could work in professional sports as a sportscaster. Like it's, he's
I might have the worst voice for podcast, but
no, I would say you just sound like an average, average kind of person.
All right,
it's up there for the worst. All right.
Anyway, those guys are great.
I don't like the segments. I don't like segments like where it's like the how many people died. Like I don't like that segment. Some of those segments I don't like.
His specific segment or segments in general.
I like
some segments are good, some aren't.
We've been slacking.
So,
I haven't done any analogies.
I'd rather just
words of the day. Ugh.
No, I don't even know. You probably had a shitload of stuff we didn't even like. It's just amazing how we were able to fill like 2 hours, and the only notes I have are a list of Tattoo Ice cigars that wondered if Chris smoked, and then 2 samplers. That's it. But we didn't really talk to Chris about how we met.
It's just cigar nerd stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you could. I'll come back on. Whenever you want, man.
We definitely gotta get you back on. Yeah, because this was. sometimes you meet somebody and like there's a few times where we've had to edit or Dom had to edit, like there's some like breaks, but we've been like, there's just so much shit to fucking talk about and you don't get to nerd out, because some of these podcasts, they're not nerding out like they used to. Now they're kind of like with the segments, which that's, you can have like, you can't have all cigar talk, like that's like our podcast. Like it's not all cigar stuff, but it's like, but we touched on the COVID shit, but I like it. I like the cigar stuff the most, so. All right, guys. Thank you, Chris, so much. We're going to have to get you on for a part 2, man. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Was this your first podcast?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
Wow, you did great, man. And I knew you would do good because me and you were you on one of our Zooms from Lake Country, the Patina one?
Yeah, with Mo. Yeah, right.
And
right.
when
that reminded me, like there was times in that Zoom. I mean, Mo was awesome. Like he was, you guys were like a boss. Like just, you had stuff all. But like once it got in like a good 45 minutes or whatever, like there was times when it started to like, trail off a little bit, and I could tell there was like a lull, and I'm like, boom, I got a question ready to go.
Nice, yeah. So yeah, we definitely gotta get you on again, and for sure. Well, sooner rather than later, man. Because we barely scratched the surface. We talked about one brand. We talked about Tatuaya shit. There's so many other brands we could really nerd out on.
Man. I love all these guys, and I was kind of slow getting into I've only been on the social media side of cigars, like just even knowing that there was cigar Facebook groups since like 2016 maybe. So I was kind of slow to. Had I gotten into the Facebook groups like in 2009 when they all started, like the original ones, like it'd be a whole different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anytime I can talk cigars, man, it's my number one hobby. So
me too.
Maybe I'll if there's any other cigar podcasts that are looking for a last minute guest, hit me up. I'll talk cigar nerd shit all night with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
God bless rock and roll.
All right, boys. Good night.
Yeah.